Chapter 17. Concha was no saint. Everything she had done for Sol came at a price he would have to pay. He chuckled lightly. What are you afraid of? Didn't you drink the potion without hesitation last time? Back then, Sol was still just a servant, powerless in the face of death. But this time, there were still 3 months until the first assessment. Now that he had some idea of how to grow stronger, Sol didn't want to bet his future on a potion with known side effects. This potion won't cause any problems in the short term, Concha said. But if you use it long term, it will burn through your potential and drain your life force. Once that's gone, you'll die. She shifted her tone. But if you're determined and work hard enough, you might become a second-rank apprentice before that happens. Then you won't need to forcibly boost your magic anymore. You can shift your achievements in wizardly research and still pass the biannual assessments. After finishing, she lifted the small vial and gave it a shake. The transparent liquid swirled temptingly inside. Burning potential. Sol stared at the vial and sighed softly. If I really take it long term, will I lose a chance to ever become a true wizard? Oh! Concha nearly burst out laughing. You're dreaming too big. Even I'm not confident I can become a true wizard. Her words, though not direct, basically confirmed his fears. I'm sorry, Senior Concha, but I can't take this potion. Sol bowed his head, but his voice was firm. Concha's smile faded. She stood, looking down at the top of Sol's head. Inside the glass dome covering half his skull, 5 or 6 eyeballs appeared, squirming and pressing against the surface, glaring fiercely at Sol. Though he didn't lift his head, Sol could feel the overwhelming pressure and fear. When his face turned pale and his body began to tremble, Concha finally withdrew the eyes with a soft laugh. You think 3 months is a long time, since you've refused. I won't force you, but when you come begging for my help later, the price won't be this simple. With that, Concha sauntered out of the dome seductively. It was a while before Sol looked toward the tightly shut door. He wiped his sweaty forehead. Cold sweat had pulled so heavily that it formed droplets sliding down the corner of his eyes. Terrifying as it was, Sol had to reject the potion. First, he couldn't let himself become Concha's puppet and gamble his life on her goodwill. Second, as a transmigrator blessed with the hardback book, he couldn't settle for merely becoming a second-rank apprentice. A gate to becoming a wizard had already cracked open just a little. Even a glimpse beyond was enough to fill him with longing. Am I born under a curse star or what? Why do I keep running into danger? It's way too hard to survive in this world. He had Sid in front of him, Concha behind him, and Mark's stance was still unclear. Above him was Kaz, below was Bran, and Duke, right beside him, was full of hidden schemes. Was there not a single decent person in this wizard tower? Couldn't he just live like a normal apprentice, study diligently, and not face an enemy at every step? Still shaken from Concha's intimidation, Sol's limbs were weak. He staggered 2 steps, then let himself collapse onto the bed. Since I've turned down Concha, I'll have to find a way to grow stronger on my own. He covered his eyes with his left hand. The cold, hard bones pressed painfully against his eyelids. Hell, if I have to, I'll give up being a human. I've got class tomorrow's sleep. Even after half a night of rest, filled with scattered nightmares, Sol didn't sleep well. But he still got up early and, with dark circles under his eyes, found George working on the 4th floor before class. George lit up with excitement when he saw Sol. He was scheduled for the early morning corridor cleaning tomorrow. Not a guaranteed death sentence, but one best avoided. As long as Sol showed he cared, the other manservants wouldn't dare assign him dangerous tasks. Sir, are you here to officially take me on as your personal servant? George's eyes sparkled. Not yet. George, still a child, looked disappointed but quickly perked up again. I understand, sir. George will always be ready to serve you. Sol got to the point. Has anyone been in contact with Brown recently? George shook his head. Everyone hangs out together during breaks and Brown's always there, but I don't know about nighttime. Sol pondered. Maybe the one who had instructed Brown to target him hadn't shown up yet. He'd changed tactics. Have you ever seen a blonde youth, about 18 or 19, come looking for Brown after I was injured, I mean? Sol described the appearance of Sid, the second-rank apprentice. George's jaw dropped. Seeing his expression, Sol immediately pressed, You've seen him, haven't you? George stammered. Yes, sir, I haven't seen him talk to Brown, but isn't that the guy who hit you with the book? Sol's eyes widened. His fragmented memories had never revealed who had killed the body's original owner. But now, thanks to George, everything came flooding back. The fear sealed away by death suddenly erupted. A brightly lit, yet bone-chillingly eerie room. Rows upon rows of towering bookshelves. A blonde youth with a strange expression, pulling books off the shelves and putting them back again. A few vague murmurs about a diary. A furious glare upon turning around and seeing Sol. A thick hardback book hurled without warning. A wave of terror and splitting pain in the head. Then a pitch-black silence. Sol swayed, stunned. But what truly shocked him wasn't that Sid had once killed him, it was the book. It was the same hardback book floating beside his left shoulder. Sol had always thought the book was his transmigration perk, his cheat, his golden finger. But now it turned out that this book had existed in this world all along. He resisted the urge to glance at his left shoulder. Then he remembered the word diary Sid had muttered in the familiar format of the book before it displayed any writing. Could the thing Sid was looking for be this very hardback book he tossed away? Saul let out a cold laugh. Did Sid realize what had happened? If Sid figured out that the hardback book was what he had been searching for, then all the threats Saul had faced recently suddenly made perfect sense. He didn't know how to remove the book, and there was no way he'd give it up. Then it's kill or be killed. The thought didn't even scare him anymore. He looked up and saw George still watching him nervously. Saul softened his expression. All right, go back. Once things settle down, I'll have you transferred. George lit up with joy. With Saul's promise, his life had just been extended by a few more years. After parting with a delighted George, Saul made sure to speak to the butler as well. The man treated him with the utmost respect and readily promised not to assign George to dangerous jobs. Only then did Saul hurriedly pack his things and head for the East Tower. Today's first class was basic knowledge of all things. He arrived late, but Kelly had already saved him a seat. You finally showed up. If you'd been any later, I might have thought something had happened to you too, Kelly said, rubbing her chin. Though somehow that just didn't seem likely. Someone else had an incident. Someone more unlucky than him. Kelly said a name Saul didn't recognize. He went mad. When Saul didn't show any shock, she added, why aren't you surprised like the others? I've already seen how terrifying this place can be. I just didn't expect someone to go mad this soon, Saul muttered. If not for last night's big pink appearance, madness would have been the best case scenario for him too.